going to teach you a tune that you've never heard before, or you may have heard it very briefly because, but we wrote it, so the chances of that are slim. And you're going to learn it completely by ear, which means that you'll have the whole thing memorized and the whole orchestra arrangement memorized. And I also feel like I should plant the seed now just so that we don't totally surprise you and shock you later. But I don't want you to think twice about it. I just want you to receive this information and then just do with it what you will. Some of you will be taking solos on the concert tonight. Okay, all right. Now I want that the mood all changed, okay, just now. Then that's cool. So some of you I could see were kind of like, okay, yeah. And then others were like, yeah. Okay, and that's fine, like we totally get that. And those of you that slammed the door immediately and were like, soloing is not my thing, those are who I'm talking to right now. Leave the door open just a crack for us, okay? I really, really mean it, because those of you that might be very, very far outside your comfort zone will be the ones who benefit the most if you feel like that's something that you might be able to try and rise above that discomfort and see what it feels like to give it a shot. And I also will say that those of you that that feel like soloing in the classical world is something that would not be something that would necessarily appeal to you, definitely leave the door open, because it's going to be a totally different experience than it would be in orchestra fashion, okay? This is soloing in like a band scenario, which means your band backs you up and it's just your chance to say what you want to say, and we'll talk more about that when we get there towards the end. But I just wanted to plant that seed, because if there's like going to be, if you're going to need to step outside of your musical comfort zone a little bit, sometimes it's helpful to like kind of start preparing for that rather than being blindsided, okay? And we really, really encourage you to do that. So we'll talk more about that later, but first we'd love to play for you. Yeah, we'll play for you to show you kind of what we are and what we do, and then it's only like 3 minutes long, okay? I see some of you just like, okay, perfect, movie time. No. And then we will talk to you a little bit about who we are and how we got started, and at that point, if you have any questions, that would be really, we would love, love, love to answer them. And then we will teach you this tune, and we will then do some activities with it and get it all ready to perform, because we're performing it tonight. So that'll be great. Yeah. Fear not, this is what we do. And also, what was I going to say? Yeah, we would love to answer your questions. So if there's something that you hear us play or hear us speak about that you may be a little more curious about, please let us know. And as we're talking about anything, or as we're playing anything, I want you to be thinking about how the information that we might have could be valuable to you specifically. Like, take it and pass it through a personal filter and go, okay, how does this apply to my life? How does this apply to the music that I hope to make in my life? How does this apply to the musical scenarios I already find myself in? And with that in mind, any questions that we can do, that we can answer to customize this to you guys and make this more just more beneficial, let us be a resource in any way we can, okay? We really, really would love to do that. Any questions before we get started? Great, cool. I'm just now getting the feeling back in my fingers, so that's good. So we can count some places. Two, would you like to play? All right, is that okay with you? Yes, it is. Okay. Uh-oh. I already did more than one of those. So normally we would be facing this way to the audience, so we're going to try to maneuver kind of like pedals backwards, so just be aware of that. Awesome. That's kind of what we're going for. That's kind of our thing. You guys, we have an awesome time playing music. This is a very, very fun life, I will say. And I'm going to try not to brag too much about our lives, because, but I hope it doesn't come across as bragging, because the whole point of this is that what we do and the transition and kind of like the journey that we've gone on is 100% available to you too. And that's why we don't necessarily see it as bragging, but really just being kind of the illustration of one of the millions of possibilities that is available to you as musicians. And one of the coolest things we can tell you, and one of my favorite things to say right off the bat, is that we're orchestra kids, you guys. We started, our background in music looks just like yours probably. We started in 5th and 6th grade in our public school orchestra programs. That's it, okay? We don't have like super talented, creative musician, like rock star parents. Nobody put a fiddle in our hands when we were 3 years old, and like we didn't grow up like playing tunes like in our family band or anything like that. That just wasn't a thing for us. We grew up in a community probably very similar to this one, and back in Michigan, and we're lucky to have a strong orchestra program, as you guys do too. So it was something that was a big part of our lives, and it's where we found a lot of our best friends and a lot of our favorite musical experiences growing up in middle school and high school. We loved it, and we knew we wanted to make music a big part of our lives, and that was pretty clear. But we didn't know what that was going to look like. And we're both creative in other ways. You know, visual art was a big thing for me. Allie had lots of different directions that she was considering going in life, and we decided separately, we grew up in separate communities, separately that we did want to do music. But at that point, all that we had learned on these instruments was classical music, which might be something you can identify with. And we loved that. We just loved music and loved playing our instrument and loved that collaborative process enough that we knew we wanted to make it our career. But we didn't really know how to do that other than to go get a degree in music, which these days, unless you go to a couple select universities, these days it still means a degree in classical music. And that, again, we value our classical training a lot. I should say that. I never want, before I say anything more, I never want our message to be misconstrued as anti-classical. We love it, and we honestly wouldn't trade it as our background for anything. And we did go on and get performance degrees from universities and did the senior recitals in gowns from memory, like a whole thing. And we really did love it, and we wouldn't trade it for anything. But there is this awesome idea that was planted in our heads at some point throughout our career, and we were lucky for it, and we had it in different ways, and that was that once you have found a facility on this instrument, once you've become a musician and you've learned to play these amazing instruments, you can literally play any type of music you want to. And you are in no way limited to classical music, which is what these are most traditionally used for. That's like just not even close to the amount that you can do nowadays, okay? Especially now that we're electrified and are doing more with effects pedals and electronics and software, and I mean, literally the opportunities are absolutely endless. So we had different people in our lives introduce us to this idea, and it kind of came about at right around the right time in like mid-college for us, when we didn't really have to make any huge life decisions yet, and we had the flexibility, like you guys do at this point in your musical lives, to do a little exploration and go on a little personal journey to figure out what kind of music we wanted to make on these instruments. We didn't really fit in the classical world because it just wasn't totally where our hearts were all the time. So then we decided to kind of branch out. We met teaching at a music camp and got really lucky that we met each other at the time that we did, because it was just kind of like a best friend to go on the journey with versus being totally independent. And we knew right away we wanted to start a band, but we had no idea what the music was going to sound like or what we wanted to do or where we were going to go. So we started. I had a little bit of like some fiddle tunes in my background from an after-school program I had in high school. So we started that route and went to a couple fiddle camps. Realized very quickly that there was a lot for us to learn from those camps, but that like those were the kids that had started playing their instrument and playing and improvising since they were like 3 years old. So we certainly didn't fit with them either. But we did go that route, and we learned a ton of tunes, and we realized that over the course of the 12 years that we've been a band, we realized that we had absolutely no reason to label or fit into any genre for any reason. And so now we call ourselves Contemporary Strings, and literally any type of music we listen to, we work into the show. And so Allie's the metalhead of the group, okay? She likes the heavier stuff. And it's great, and we celebrate that. But I love traditional fiddle music. I love studying the history behind where this instrument has gone in the world. But I also really love dance music. You know, I love beats, like beats for days. That's like all I can listen to right now. And there's no reason that all of those things can't find a place in our show. And so, like, we're literally playing our instruments, we're plugging our instruments straight into our computers and using all of the software that the DJs use to be able to create these like kind of elaborate tracks. And this instrument is just the vehicle that we use to do it. And so that's really the point that we want to make sure that you get across, is that the instrument that you're holding in your hand can absolutely be your way to make the music that you love the most in life, whatever it is. And I mean that, like whether it's rock, whether it's pop, whether it's hip hop, whether it is EDM and dubstep and house music, whether it's punk, whether it's like super ambient trance music, I don't care. Like, it's all possible on this instrument. And now in this world more than ever. And there are opportunities to play that type of music, whatever it is you're about, on this instrument. And so the kind of the point of today is for you to take that idea with you and figure out what your personal journey in music may look like. And it might not be studying it in college, but at the very least, use these amazing skills that you've put so much time into to figure out what kind of music you can make and what kind of musical experience you can make to make it the most fulfilling for you personally, okay? And orchestra is just kind of the first step. This is how we teach you to play these instruments so that you can go out into the world and decide what you'd like to do with them. And so I know that stepping outside of the orchestral world is probably a little easier said than done. So that's what today is about as well, is we're going to try to leave you with some skills that's going to make accessing some of those other musical worlds a little bit more comfortable and a little bit easier and a little more optimistic. So the two things that we use most in our musical lives that we want to leave you with today are A, ears, really good ears, because very rarely are Allie and I reading sheet music anymore. Most of the musical scenarios we find ourselves in are on us to have to diagnose what's going on and figure out where we fit in the musical landscape. But then the next step in that process is figuring out what you're going to add. And that means making something up on your own and not necessarily being told what to play or handed a piece of music or even told like what, maybe not even given any musical direction. That's for you to be creative completely independently and decide what you're going to add to the scenario. And so if you think about it, being able to diagnose what's going on around you and then figure out what you're going to add independently means that you can play music with anybody, anywhere, in any scenario forever, truly. And the more you try it, the easier and more comfortable it gets, of course, but for the most part, that's true. And whether that's me jumping up with a bluegrass band in front of thousands of people when I haven't even heard the band before, and just being able to figure out what key they're playing in, figure out what's going on around me, and then figuring out some sweet fiddle solo to add to it, and it's like, you know, just a beautiful experience for everybody. Or maybe it's Allie sitting down and recording on a hip-hop album, and she's planted in the booth with headphones on and she's never heard the track before. So that just means that she's got to figure out very quickly what's going on in the musical scenario and then offer some ideas and kind of creatively decide what you're going to add. Those are two kind of like high-stress environments, but maybe it's just you sitting down with a singer-songwriter, or maybe it's you playing along with like your favorite track to your favorite artist. Or you and one of your friends are going to try to start collaborating musically somehow, and you're going to have to figure out kind of what you're going to do together. Ears and making something up really does kind of unlock all of those situations and make them possible and more comfortable and really, really fun. And truly, it can be transformative. It was for Allie and I, man. When we started making stuff up and really introduced creativity into our playing, the whole ball game changed. It really did. So that's what we're hoping for you guys today. I'm going to step down I'm going to step off of my soapbox here. Any questions on what we just said? Cool. You're either totally overwhelmed, hopefully you're like a little bit excited after all that. We'll see how it goes. But let's warm up to get started, and let's learn this tune first, and then we'll get going.
Okay, we're gonna warm up. I'm gonna play some notes, you're gonna play them back to me. Just a call and response thing. I'm gonna start nice and easy on my open B, okay? Me first.
And if we did stump you on some or most of those, that's fine. Okay, so don't panic. We will certainly not teach the tune that fast. Like, I don't want to start this whole thing with like that level of panic. Yeah. No. We were literally trying to stump you just to kind of see where the limit was. And wow, I can honestly say I'm not sure I've heard her throw patterns at a group and have you nail like that hard and have you nail all of them like that. What's up, buddy? I just threw them down there because I could tell they were distracting you. Oh. And they were in the shot here. She's really worried about the t-shirts, okay? So you guys ordered...
They're not theirs, I don't think.
No?
No.
They're for a different group?
Yeah, I think so. So just, never mind. We're not distracted.
Never mind. Okay. So yeah, we were trying to stump you. You guys have awesome ears. That's amazing. So we started using all notes of the D major scale. You guys felt that. We were using F sharp and C sharp. And then we lowered F sharp and C sharp and made them natural. So what we're going to do to learn this tune that is going to make this process just fly by is walk you through exactly our process anytime that we are learning a new tune or writing a new tune. And the first step is figuring out the musical language. When I jump up with that bluegrass band and have to figure out quickly what's going on, first step always is figuring out the key. What collection of notes are they using to play this whole song and thing that I have happening around me? So we're going to establish that by using D major and making some changes, and eventually we're going to find ourselves in a completely different realm, and that's going to be our musical key for the day, okay? So D major becomes this different scale when we make it all natural. When we lower F sharp and C sharp and make them natural. What did you say? Yeah! I was just about to ask, what mode are we using? It is the Dorian mode, exactly. Play the D Dorian scale. It is a mode, if you're not familiar, don't worry, okay? I don't think I learned about modes until college, which is totally fine. So we've got a D major scale except with F natural and C natural. Play it all the way to the top. Don't repeat the top D and come back down. 1, 2, ready, play. Because it doesn't have that B flat, so it just kind of sounds a little bit cooler. It's used in a lot of rock and jazz, okay? But we're gonna go a step past that to make it even cooler, and that is to take a couple notes out, okay? We're going to take E and B out. So for most of us, other than basses, sorry, that's skipping your first finger of the scale we just played. The scale just got significantly shorter, okay? D to F natural, and straight from A to C natural, and we'll skip them on the way back down too. 1, 2, D to F.
Yes, much
I know, right? Man, you guys sound awesome. Like, I would love to hear you play a classical piece. I bet it's killer. Do you play in this larger group often, or is this multiple orchestras put together?
Multiple.
Sweet. All right, well, we're honored. Sounds great. All right, so did everybody feel the difference in that scale? Yeah, so we went from this, D major. It's lovely, right? But that is not the point of today. So we are already here.
I don't know, just play the C or something.
Yeah. Okay, you hear the difference, right? Okay, so we're going to add one more note to this scale, and we are going to have arrived at our key, and it will be the epitome of coolness. Play exactly what you just played, except this time add an A flat. Still play the G, still play the open A, add the A flat in between. Does anybody know what scale this is, just from my describing it to you? What is it? Yeah, it's the D blues scale. Yay! Okay, the blues. It feels inherently cool. Okay, there's just no way around it. Add the A flat. Violins and violas, I add a flat 4 so that I can still play the G comfortably and still play the A comfortably. And cellos, this is our. Can you tell them?
Yeah, you can go into second position because we're not going to use our first finger anymore. Just put your first finger on your F natural, third on your G, fourth on your A flat.
If you've never tried that before, today's the perfect day to do it.
It's
Okay?
Moxie
Yeah.
day.
We're not going to be using E's or B's the whole rest of the time, so you can stay up there in second position. All right, and basses, open G, low 1, and then sliding your first finger up to regular 1 will work in the tunes, okay? So just go ahead and do that for now. Don't shift around too much. 1, 2, ready, go. A flat, G. So we went from D major, glorious, to the D blues scale. So hypothetically, like if you're in the hallway playing before class, or you're warming up for youth orchestra or whatever, and there is somebody that happens to be walking by or seated near you that you might like to notice you for whatever reason, okay? Play the blues scale. It is instantly cool, it will instantly grab attention, it is not what people expect to hear strings playing, and it's so fun. Play it one more time with us, and then we're gonna give you 20 seconds to kind of play it on your own, okay? One more time, the blues scale, ready? Go. I know, right? That's our musical language for the day. Now there's one thing that I want to add to it, and then I can feel what's happening. Can you hear like the little noodling that's going on? We get that, because anytime I'm learning something new, I want like a little bit of time in my own space. So we will give that to you in just a second. It's called DNT, Designated Noodle Time, okay? And we will give that to you periodically in exchange for you not doing it while we're talking, okay? That's all it is. So last thing I want to add to this is a little stylistic thing, and you heard me doing some slides as we were playing this scale. That's what's going to make it sound authentic to the genre that we're going towards, which is rock and blues, okay? We're teaching you a rock tune today. But that idea of authenticity is so subtle and so powerful. So the difference between a violin and a fiddle, we get asked that all the time, and you might too. And you probably have figured this out, but there is none. Fiddles are exactly the same instrument, it just depends on how you play it. Well, what's the difference in how you play it? And that's that idea of stylistic authenticity that I want you guys to know is so easy and possible depending on what direction you decide to go, okay? So for example, if we wanted to sound like an Irish fiddle player, which is a lot of what we do, I mentioned we play some Irish Fest and stuff, the ornaments that I'm going to add to sound like an Irish player are going to be totally different than if I were playing a rock or blues tune, but they're very easy. Okay, so very quickly, here are some examples. Here's an example of an Irish tune played by a bluegrass player. I'm sorry, a classical player. Now the Irish, here we go. They have a very lyrical way of talking. The phrases go up at the end. I just got back from Ireland, okay? I've been working on the accent.
I don't know if it got any better.
I don't know if it did either, but I'm working on it anyway. That the role of the R's in their language, I'm convinced, it translates to a little flick of the finger on the instrument, okay? This is like a theory of mine. It's going to be my doctoral thesis someday, that the accent sounds like the fiddle style, okay? So here is the same Irish fiddle tune, now played more like an Irish player. Did you hear how different that was? Nobody necessarily taught me how to play that way. That wasn't years of schooling or anything. That was literally just watching other people and trying to get my sound to sound like them. And that literally means that, like, with a couple YouTube videos and a day spent working on it, you can have that Irish drill down. So that's this idea of authenticity that we're talking about, sounding like the genre that you're hoping to play, and sounding authentic to it. So here's a bluegrass example. Here's a bluegrass tune played by a classical player. Okay, it's lovely. So bluegrass comes from the southern United States. Okay, we just got back from North Carolina a couple weeks ago, and they really do talk like this, I swear. The southern accent tends to, it's a very slippery accent. It tends to slide around and like scoop from below the words they're trying to say. And that's so true of their fiddle style. Bluegrass is characteristic of slides, okay? So that, and also, you know, rock and blues comes from the South too. So you can see why these are all connected. But here's the same bluegrass tune with double stops and some slides, okay? Totally different ballgame. It's really not anywhere near as hard as you may think. And with a classical background, sounding like one genre or another is just a matter of immersing yourself in it, listening to how to change your playing slightly, and just making it happen, okay? That was the whole point of that. But because we're going the rock and blues route today, we are gonna add some slides, and then you are gonna add them wherever you want to in the tune that we're about to teach you. So I want you to just try adding a slide. We're gonna keep it in the scale for now. Add a slide up to that high D. This is a stylistic concept that you guys can apply wherever you want to. We're gonna play the scale. You don't go all the way down into C sharp land. You use your high D finger. You just plant it a little flat and slide it into place in time, okay? Try it. From the bottom of the scale. Ready? Go. Natural on the way back down, kind of do it in reverse.
Full scale.
Ready? Go. Slide away. 20 seconds of D&T.
Designated noodle time.
Whatever you need to do, go ahead. In your own space. Yeah, go. Wait, we haven't even started this tune yet. Trust me, we know what we're doing here, and the concepts that we're teaching you, we're hoping are going to be more important than the notes we teach, okay? That these are going to be like ideas that you can take and apply in any facet of your playing in any genre, so we wanted to make sure we touched on, especially the authenticity thing. So this tune is only using the notes that you just played in that blues scale. So as we're teaching it to you phrase by phrase, which given the warm-up, you guys are going to learn incredibly quickly, so we're not worried about time at all. But they are only using, the tune is only using notes of the scale, which means as you're kind of fishing around, there's no F sharps, there's no C sharps, no E's or B's, just a very select few to choose from, okay? Here's the tune, so that you hear it. It's called Stir Crazy. We have a music video out and everything for it, so you can go find it online. It's very easy to find. But here's the melody, and then we'll teach it to you. gosh, that's adorable.
know it.
Oh,
You don't know it yet.
thanks. We would never do that to you. That was mean. That was mean. You're already nervous enough.
Oh,
Okay. Oh man, that joke never gets old.
Kid, we're kidding.
Okay, we're gonna teach it to you phrase by phrase here, okay? So it's in and don't panic. I promise you there were so many repeats in what we just played. When we dissect it and break it into chunks for you, it's gonna happen really quickly. So just trust us on this. So we're using the words verse and chorus because we're in the rock world here. Verse is built in 4 parts. 1 and 3 are exactly the same. 2 and 4 are almost exactly the same. That's how repetitive this whole thing is, okay? So let's learn 2 and 4 and make the distinction between the two, and then we'll add both 1 and 3 and it'll happen quick. Here's number 2, 6 notes. Only notes of the blues scale. Here are your first 3. Go. Go up a step and climb. Go up a step and climb down. Together. Go. And also listen to the offbeat. Most of you felt this already. Amazing. That's number 2. Already done. Okay. So number 4 is very similar. We just add a little flourish up to the blue note and back, okay? It's almost like an ornament. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm going from G to an A flat. Play it, ready, go. And then I'm climbing down. Go. The joke is not funny when you can actually play it that fast, okay? Never mind. All right, yeah, let's add the 3 notes that come first. They're the same as in number 2. Go. 2. So 2 and 4 are very similar. Now we need to just label them so that we can say these words and you will know exactly what note to play. Number 2 is 6 notes only. Allie, this is where Allie's interesting brain comes in here. Your favorite style of
Chalkboard.
chalkboard. Okay, great.
Your favorite style of chalkboard.
I never know what she's going to say. You guys, I throw it out there. We hope for random, but I will tell you this is still one of the more normal ones I've heard recently. Okay, so your favorite style of chalkboard. Now, I don't want you to actually think about a chalkboard. We say chalkboard. Think of another word.
Random word you say. Chalkboard.
What?
Banana.
Banana chalkboard. I like it. It's a chalkboard shaped like a banana. It's huge. It doesn't make any sense. It's impossible to write on.
It's not. That's not that. It's a chalkboard where the surface is made of banana peels. You can't even write on it.
No.
Not a hot
absolutely
seller.
not.
It's not a hot seller.
It is a chalkboard.
That smells like banana.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Okay, it's chalkboard that smells like banana. Play chalkboard banana. Go. And a chalkboard. Check. Okay, number 4, Allie, because they're very similar, maybe we should pick something that is very similar to banana chalkboard.
Capers. Capers.
Like the little things that like come on salmon, like
Yeah.
little...
Capers. That's kind of like a chalkboard. It starts with the same letter. I think.
Okay, guys, this is my life right now. This never ends. Every day, all day. I've spent 12 years as her best friend and bandmate. I will never ever understand how that brain works. Okay, capers, sure. Play capers.
Yeah, capers. It's a caper note in it. That's what I named the blue note. Caper note.
Like, oh my god. Ah, okay, play number 4. Go. Easy, done. Capers.
Yes.
Check. Got it. 1 and 3 sound like this. They're the same phrase. If I take out those open Ds, I'm just climbing up the notes of the blue scale, but I'm skipping the blue note. Ending on an A. Play it. Ready? go. Good. Add an open D after each note. Same notes, slightly different rhythm. That's it, you guys. That's number 1 and 3. You've got the whole first half. So let's play.
Parking spot.
No, that's not even. That's like more of a concept. Like that's not even a. Okay.
You're starting
Nope.
to confuse them.
It's fine. I'm starting to
Parking
confuse them.
Makes perfect sense to me. Think about the pattern. Do you get it? If you think about the pattern, do you
Okay,
think about a
this
parking spot?
has been the theme of my last 12 years of my life. Okay, you guys ready for this? Pick your battles.
Yeah.
Pick your battles. Okay.
Parking
Does parking
spot.
spot make any sense? No.
It
Whoa!
does
No, the cellos will not. No,
Yeah,
we're
totally
not.
makes sense.
We're not doing this.
No, Leah.
That's right. Thank you. Thank you.
What?
Yes.
Parallel
That's
parking.
exactly what I
Yeah,
was
yeah,
thinking.
yeah.
Wait a second. Everybody's getting it now. Uh-huh. See?
You're all losing your minds. There's nothing to get here. I don't want to hear somebody say, "Oh, I get it." No. Oh my gosh. Okay, you're driving me. Okay, whatever. Here we go. Play. Please play. Parking spot. I don't even remember. God. Parking spot. Banana chalkboard. Parking spot. Capers.
Ooh, cool. Yum.
1, 2, ready, go.
Banana.
Parking spot. Capers. Again. Banana. Parking. Capers. The whole first half, you guys. And that's a great tempo. We're going to pick it up a little bit, but take 30 seconds of DNT. Do whatever you need to polish that up and make it yours. Go ahead. and capers, you already know half.
Banana chocolate and capers.
Right. You already
You are
know.
confused.
You already know half of the second half. Okay. You have one section left to learn, and you've got the whole tune. All right.
Want to play the first half?
Yeah. Let's do it one more time. Well, maybe a little quicker. Shorter bows.
Yeah.
I think you got it. 1, 2, parking spot. Woo! Yeah! Guys, that is very, very impressive. It's like really impressive. And the beauty is the concert's not till later this evening, and there's a music video, and it's available on iTunes and Spotify and all that stuff. So you have a reference point to listen to and play along with, and to kind of, if there are things that are a little confusing, we're flying through notes right now, you'll have an opportunity to either search it on your own or ask some people around you before the concert, okay?
Perfect.
Second half?
Yes.
Let's do it.
Second half is even easier. I'm going to teach you, so it's like Diana said, it's in 4 parts. You already know banana chalkboard, you already know capers. French onion chip dip is super duper easy. I'm gonna talk you through French onion chip dip. You're just gonna climb down the scale. We're gonna skip the blue note. We're starting on a high D. The French onion chip dip sounds like this. I'm skipping the blue note for French onion chip dip. Starting on a high D and climbing down. Try it. 1, 2, French onion chip dip. Perfect. I'm gonna change the rhythm ever so slightly. It sounds like this. Same notes. 2, French onion chip dip. Perfect. Listen to how French onion chip dip goes right into banana chalkboard. Then I go a French onion chip dip. Then I hit it with a caper at the end. Sounds like this. Banana. You got it? Try it. French onion chip dip. 1, 2, ready, aim. Banana. Back up. Paper. Again. French onion chip dip in the books. That is a record.
That was really fast, I will say. Okay, awesome. Any questions? Why don't you take 20 seconds practice any part of that tune? Ask around you. If stuff's a little confusing, definitely help each other out. We'll reconvene in 20 seconds. See what it felt like. Second of all, you've got some time, okay? And you have ways to go about finding those notes that are still blurry for you, whether it's asking your peers or whether it's going online on YouTube, whatever you need to do. So, you will have it by tonight. We trust you. You guys are awesome. You obviously know how to practice or else you wouldn't be this good. So, we trust that if there's something that's confusing, you'll figure it out. I want to give mad props to the bassists who are sawing away back there and are nailing it. You guys are impressing me so much. We just went so fast because it's right there.
Very, very French onion of you.
Sounds awesome.
See what I did? I turned that into like a coolness thing. You are so French onion today.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about, guys, the more you laugh, the more it encourages it, okay? So we want to talk.
I think so, for French onions and capers.
Yeah, of all
bananas.
things. Okay, so now we have the melody. That would be the next step in the process. Now, you guys heard in those last couple of rounds that Allie added an accompaniment part. That would be the next step, and that's really what brought it to life and allowed us to really kind of groove on it. So in our process, we figured out the musical language, check. Then we learned the melody, check. Now you can find melodies to the tunes that you're hoping for in a lot of ways. You can learn them by ear, you could look up some sheet music, you could, if you're interested in Celtic tunes, you could literally just type Irish tunes or Irish fiddle into Google and hit the image tab and you've got like melodies for days, okay? So if you're interested in starting to learn something new, just know melodies are very available to you and that would be a great first step. But to really make it performable and to sound like an ensemble or like a band, you have to have some type of accompaniment part. And we toyed with hiring a guitar player. We thought maybe we'll bring a bass player in, and we worked with some other players. But then we realized that if we just kind of transformed the way that we used the cello, we could do all of the accompanying on cello. And then we added the foot percussion and such. And sometimes we play with a drum kit. But in terms of the harmonic accompaniment, that's all cello. And it's kind of new age. Like there aren't many cellists that are playing like that, but she's basically like the rhythm guitar and the bass guitar like rolled into one. And I will say cellists, like you don't go to college necessarily to learn how to play like that. That's something that she heard what she wanted to sound like and figured out how to make it happen, which means you guys are totally capable of doing the same thing. And that goes for everybody. Accompanying is really fun and a really amazing skill. And it just literally means some chords and some rhythms to go along with whatever melody is being played. So we're gonna have her hold that down for us. And we're going to keep moving because the next step is to figure out how to keep this exciting and different and bring this creativity element into it, okay? And that's going to come in the form of soloing in a piece like this, okay? So, soloing. Now, before you all panic, soloing means something completely different in this world. It does not mean we're going to hand you a piece of music and you're going to memorize it and we're going to audition and like whoever plays it the best is going to be the one soloist. Soloing means that you as an individual get the chance to say whatever you want to say using the notes of the melody. Because remember, we have this musical landscape and this accompaniment part that's creating this musical landscape for us to fit the melody. But if we use the notes of the melody, it's all going to sound good over the accompaniment part. And solos are not supposed to sound like a composed melody, they're supposed to sound made up. And they're literally the opportunity for all of us to celebrate the fact that even though we're all holding the same instruments, we are wildly different people. And we like different sounds, and we're feeling different things from day to day, and we want to make different statements. And this is where creativity and kind of celebrating how awesomely unique you all are really comes in, and why it can be so transformative in the grander scheme of things. So literally, it's your opportunity to take these notes of the melody and put them in any order or play them in any way that you want to say what you want to say. Every single one of you can and should solo. There's no limit. This is how a rock band would function, or a bluegrass band, or a jazz ensemble. They're built around the creativity that comes from unique individuals, okay? That's what kind of the whole genre is built around. And classical music used to be. Bach was like literally the greatest improviser that the world's ever known. And he did it by thinking about so many beautiful chords at the same time that he was playing, and now we recreate them. But improvisation is your idea to be your way of being fundamentally creative on your instrument, okay? And very often, it's not just a make something up. Usually there is a context. There's a way that you know exactly what notes to use to be able to fit in the scenario. And we're giving them to you. It's the blues scale, okay? So let's start with a call and response so you guys can see how this feels like. Except this time, I'm gonna play some notes, and I don't want you to repeat them. I want you to do something different. But you can still kind of do it in this mass group, so you're all kind of soloing as a group right now in your own space just to see what it feels like. I'm gonna play only my open D. Play only your open D in any rhythm that you want. That's how easy we're starting, okay? Just change what I do somehow. You guys will catch on. 1, 2, me first. Now you ready, go. Yeah, okay, yeah, here. This one's really easy to change. Move your bow. Yeah. Go. That's all it is, you guys, I love it. D, F natural, and G. Let's climb up. D, F natural, and G. Anything you want. Ready? group, but the next step is having some volunteers go back and forth with me, okay? So just so you know, this is supposed to sound made up. This is not supposed to sound perfect or like a composed melody. It's just your chance to just do whatever you want to, okay? I'll play, then you play. Just kind of have that in mind. Next step is some volunteers. A one, a two, a one, two, me first. Ready, go. Because right now you're having such a small amount of time and I'm limiting your creativity. So rather than me asking you a musical question and you answering it, which is kind of what's just been happening, I'd like you to ask yourself a musical question and answer it, okay? It's twice as long and it's built in 2 phrases and it's just, again, your opportunity to do whatever you want, okay? Just think of it in 2 halves. And also, if you want to, if this is comfortable for you, explore where the notes of this scale may exist on other strings. I've been teasing at the E string or going down a little bit, okay? No limits, just see where this fits. And you guys can see how if we had another hour with you, we would go much further in depth with this. But we just want you a taste of what it feels like to make some decisions on your own instrument, because that is all, that little trigger could be all it takes for you guys to take this concept and go do a whole lot of things in life with it, okay? So we're just very, very briefly touching on it. Let's, I will play the 2 halves of the phrase and then I'll hand it to you and I want you guys to just take it for as long as you want. Just explore these ideas, see what it feels like to stretch out a little, okay? A one, two, me first.
One, two, ready, go!
Dr. Lauber, am I required?
You're required.
Oh. Am I supposed to stand up?
Yes, awesome. Okay, this is enough to start.
Yeah.
Perfect.
All
All right, I will play. Yeah, Bando. Okay.
Yes, right here too.
Brilliant, thank you. So we will have other rounds, so let's start here. I'm gonna play a phrase and then I'm just gonna hand it to you. And you can play for the same amount of time or a little longer, whatever you'd like. And then we'll work up here and then we'll go like this.
You're playing one at a time.
So cello will be second, okay? To me first. say that improvisation is not new to some of you? Yes? How many of you is it new to? Just to be sure. Amazing. Okay. Now that's really special, you guys, because that is so not normal and so awesome. And I love that we're going to have the opportunity to experience like some really refined soloing in this. I also want to say that there are so many things that could be done that don't involve all those notes, okay? In fact, like those of you that maybe this is a new concept to, you could hang on an open D and sell it and maybe give me a hair flip and like the audience would go wild, okay? These notes are available to you, that much time is available to you, but you could literally just... Okay, and that would like literally, people would erupt for that, okay? So I don't want you to be intimidated by the soloing that you just heard, I guess is what I'm just saying, because it was awesome. And like, I love that you guys have had experiences to try some of these concepts in the past, because that is huge. But you do not have to be that, this can be totally new to you for you to still have an amazing and successful experience, okay? In fact, I would highly encourage one or two of you that have not tried soloing before to please try it, okay? So let's talk about how we're gonna do this on the concert, and then we can run a little dress rehearsal.
Perfect. I think we should do our melody. Verse, verse, chorus, chorus. Verse, verse, chorus, chorus. So 2 times through.
Yeah.
And then we all take a break, except for me. I'll play the bass line. We do the solo activity just like we just did. If you're a violin or viola and you'd like to solo, we'll do this right now. You'll stand up. If you're a cello or bass, you'll just kind of raise your bow. And Diana will start over here and she'll play, and then she'll kick it off, and she'll make sure she points and make sure everybody gets a chance to go.
We'll end with some bass solos because you guys bring the house down, okay? So just be prepared for that.
Once the last person solos, she'll count us back in, and we'll do verse, verse, chorus, chorus, verse, verse, chorus, chorus. So we'll play the 2 4 times. Sound good? Let's try it.
And Al will give us an intro here to get started.
Yes, I will.
We can have the whole orchestra solo, okay? So don't think that there are too many people or anything like that. Also, you don't have to solo in class today to solo tonight. Also, soloing in class doesn't necessarily sign you up for tonight. So you can just give it a shot today and then feel like tonight's not your thing, that's fine too, okay? Whatever you want to do. Beginning melody. Ready, and! now not only have totally memorized, which you didn't even realize happened because that's how we learned it. Instead of storing the notes on the page, we're just storing them up here. That does mean that they might have a tendency to like kind of flutter away before tonight, so we really highly recommend playing this tune once or twice. You can look it up online. It's called Stir Crazy, okay? Also, we have a track on the education zone of our website that is literally that D blues bass line over and over again if you want to practice with those notes before tonight or just in the future in your life. So if we did fly through the improv thing, so take a little bit of time before tonight and make yourself a little more comfortable with it and be ready to stand up and solo tonight. We would love it. You guys, this was so fun. Thank you for being so open-minded and going with us on all this. We will have our CDs and t-shirts order forms after the concert. We have it all available to us, so there's like a little selling stipulation. So just know that if you want to take a CD or t-shirt home, we'll make sure that happens. We just have to figure out, we would have to do it a little backwards. But also, find us online, okay? The MoxieStrings.com, Facebook, but we're on Instagram. We've already posted stories from today. Also, you can find me personally on Instagram. I blog about traveling and all that kind of stuff. So it's both are student-friendly follows. We would love to stay in touch with you that way. And then, did you guys work on Ramney Kaylee? Is that something that you guys have? No.
No.
Okay.
No. That may be
Middle school.
Middle school. Perfect.
Yeah,
Perfect.
But do you mind? May I interject just for 1 second? This is
Yeah.
fantastic, and the risk taking that you all are capable of, I know, is in you. So this is the safest space. You all know that. We joke a lot in here, but you all know this is the safest space to create. So feel like you can go for it tonight. Do you mind doing that one more time? Not with solos. Only because you're hearing 50% of their volume level right now.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
not really giving it over. More bow, deeper sound, eat it for breakfast, even though you haven't really had breakfast.
Let's do it.
Will you show them what you really have? Because this is like 30% of you. And if you come on tonight like you do in performance mode, like you normally are in performance mode, they might fall over. So I just want you to give
Make that
over
happen.
everything you
Make that
have.
happen.
Dig deep so
make
they
that
hear
happen.
what you really have.
Awesome. So melody, you want me to play
Yeah,
melody?
yeah, just that.
And I will say, you guys, this is like,
I really don't.
on the soloing piece especially, you guys are going to have the opportunity to walk out of here tonight going, wow, that was really cool. Or you're going to have the opportunity to walk out of here like a little bit shaking with a super huge like adrenaline rush going, oh my gosh, like I feel like my life might have just changed forever. That was one of the most amazing experiences I've ever had. I just soloed and improvised in front of so many people. And it will be a positive experience. We promise you that from the bottom of our string playing hearts. If you play 3 notes and one of them's an F sharp and one of them's an E, it's still gonna sound good, okay? Like really, you can't do anything wrong. This is about you personally. And this is about you deciding what you want to play to express yourself. And who would we be to say that, like, our voices are totally out of it at that point. We are not in any way your critic or a teacher to tell you that something is right or wrong. That is completely up to you to decide. And that's what we want you guys to experience, because that's when you start to take personal ownership of your playing and your relationship with your instrument and your own creativity. We're going to celebrate it. It's going to be awesome no matter what, okay? So I want to leave you with that so that maybe a couple more of you are ready to take that step tonight, because I know you're capable of it. I'm positive, every single one of you, all right? All right, let's hear what you guys got. Can you dig in? I like it. Eat it for breakfast. Dig. 1, 2, 1, 2,
Ready, and woo!
Point taken. Awesome, you guys. Cool. We will see you tonight.
Yes,
If
thank
you
you
have any
so
questions
much.
for us, feel free as we're